Welcome in, everybody. The Phillies blow it with Connor Brogdon on the bump coming in for the bullpen. They take a 6-3 loss in 10 innings to the Cincinnati Reds to open up this 3-game series. My name is Marc Farzetta. Let's get Locked On Phillies Postcast.
You are Locked On Phillies Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Philadelphia on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Thanks for joining us. Once again, my name is Marc Farzetta. Welcome into Locked On Phillies Postcast. Let me just first tell you, thanks for making Locked On Phillies Postcast your first listen after a Phillies game. And, of course, during the day with our friend Connor Thomas, running the show there for Locked On Phillies. We are free and available whenever you get and wherever you get your podcasts. You could watch us on YouTube as well, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. First and foremost, absolutely a wasted start for Christopher Sanchez, who went out there and was absolutely dealing tonight through 5 innings of work. A couple of hits late, but mostly was dominant with his changeup tonight. Had his sinker working for him, his slider working for him. The changeup, though, was a thing of beauty. In total, 8 strikeouts, and absolutely looked like a guy who, when last year you watched him in the roll-up to the playoffs, looked like a guy who could absolutely solidify a 5th starter spot, a 4th starter spot. This guy looked like an ace tonight for his first start of the season. Everything was located. Everything was fooling Reds hitters throughout his start tonight. And then, of course, things started to leak a little bit late. As for the Phillies lineup, Nick Castellanos, I just find hilarious. I just find Nick Castellanos absolutely hilarious at this point. Going through some early season struggles. And one of the things that we said to ourselves before the season with Nick Castellanos at the plate, was he going to be the guy that was going to be swinging wildly at pitches away like he was in the first part of the 2022 season? Or is he going to be the guy that started things out a year ago and was actually laying off those low and away pitches? Well, he answered that question this year with an emphatic exclamation point followed by, yes, he is going to be absolutely that guy that is going to be flailing away at pitches out of the strike zone. And nothing, absolutely nothing made me laugh harder throughout this game than the 6th inning. Now, Brogdon, I wasn't laughing. Even though he came in and was terrible in his outing, Nick Castellanos going to the game tonight. In the 6th inning, Bill Miller's behind the plate. And Nick Castellanos swings to the first pitch in the dirt and about 3 feet outside. Flails away at it. Then the next pitch, way inside, handcuffs him. He flails away at it. He's down 0-2. Couple of pitches later, he gets a pitch at the knees. Low in the zone, absolutely. Was it probably a ball? Absolutely. But you know what it was? Way too close to take. And Nick Castellanos has the cojones to actually take this pitch and get called out on strikes in that at-bat with men on base, and then he chooses to argue with Miller behind the plate about what a strike is and what a strike isn't. If you're Bill Miller behind the plate, and Nick Castellanos says to you, that was low. That was low. All Miller's got to say is, you have no idea what a strike is. What are you even talking to me for? You're swinging at a pitch 3 feet outside in the dirt. Last year, if you don't remember, you tried taking out a 9-iron to hit a pitch that bounced 1 foot in front of the plate, and you want to talk to me about a strike? That's like one of the only times I would actually take the case up for an umpire to be right over a player. But Nick Castellanos, going back to last year, his debut year with the Phillies 2 years ago, just has us all in our feels when it comes to his approach at the plate. Or lack thereof, an approach at the plate for Nick Castellanos. Connor Brogdon. I have a tough time repeatedly throwing Rob Thompson under the bus. Like last year, it ended terribly. No question about it. Ended awfully the way it went down in the NLCS against the Diamondbacks. Nobody really, put up for Rob Thompson. Could have gone without Craig Kimbrell as many times as he did. Could have certainly gone without taking Christopher Sanchez out of the game the way he did against the Diamondbacks. But he chooses to trust Connor Brogdon. Tonight. Brogdon comes into the game, 10th inning, tie game, 2-2. Nothing's happening. No offense is getting going here. Connor Brogdon comes into the game. In total, the long and short of it, 37 pitches thrown, 18 for strikes. Only 18 pitches out of 37 for strikes. That's hard. That's hard to do if you're a big league pitcher. So what does that tell you? Connor Brogdon, not really a big league pitcher. What's the ERA go up to? 27. That's fun. Good times. So it was a funny instance here. And this is where the Philadelphia fans really got on in there at Citizens Bank Park. And it's something that we absolutely have to highlight here, going back through the game notes. Brogdon comes in. You got Bubba Thompson on second base there in the top of the 10th inning with the tied 2-2. Gives an 8-pitch walk to Benson. So at least he battled a little bit there. Then India goes up there. He takes a 4-pitch walk. At this point, you got a runner on first. You got a runner on second and third with nobody out. I'm just yelling, walk him. Just put India on. Walk him. But I don't know if Rob Thompson just sensed that Connor Brogdon wasn't able to locate the strike zone and wanted to give him as many opportunities as possible to try to locate the strike zone. He did not locate the strike zone. He walks India on 4 pitches. He takes the base. Next man up, Encarnacion Strand. Ends up being the only strikeout, but right before that, Steer steps up and hits that grand slam. I really wanted to blow by it, but unfortunately I couldn't. A meatball of a pitch right over the middle. And I think during the broadcast, if you watch the game, Crucker and T-Mac were all over it, saying that they got to be telling him, just throw strikes. Caleb Cotham, pitching coach for the Phillies, comes out to the mound. He goes up to him and says, you just got to call strikes, or you just got to throw strikes. That's what you got to do. And Connor Brogdon starts throwing strikes, gets a fastball over the middle of the plate. Steer's looking at that going, okay, so he's got one. The Phillies fans provide the sarcastic cheer, the Bronx cheer, if you will. Brogdon tries to put another one over the plate, tattooed to left field for a grand slam home run. Phillies are now down 6-2. And that would be pretty much it. They get a little something going for themselves in the ninth inning, in the bottom of the 10th inning, but certainly not enough to really get anything going. There were a couple other things. I mentioned Nick Castellanos. I mentioned Connor Brogdon, obviously, and what went down in this game. We're going to get to a whole lot more as this continues. We got Johan Rojas in our crosshairs tonight with the Phillies. Still just one win, 4 games into the season, and we got plenty more to get to. But first, we're going to tell you, after this break, we're going to tell you about how Johan Rojas got into my crosshairs, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back in a second. First thing I got to tell you about here in our title, we got FanDuel, of course, representing the great people who are rolling some dice on these games here. FanDuel, new customers join today, and they'll get $200 in bonus bets. If you get your first bet, you hit your first bet, you got $5 or more, $5 or more, bet $5 or more, and you'll that wins. Yeah, nice little bonus there from the great people of FanDuel. New customers, join today, and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. And make sure, first calendar, how good is this? The great people of Locked On are taking care of you when it comes to all your bets throughout the season. You're looking at that sports calendar. It's loaded for FanDuel. Make sure you're making your bets with FanDuel. More exciting to get in on the action. And right now, like I said, new customers, $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 you can use to bet the tourney, MLB, NBA, NHL, and so much more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet a big win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So make sure you take advantage of all they have to offer. Let's not forget about the amazing people at LinkedIn as well. LinkedIn, you're struggling to close deals, B2B selling, tougher than ever. And that's why I want to tell you about the great people at LinkedIn Sales Navigator. LinkedIn Sales Navigator is a sales intelligence platform that helps professionals effectively and efficiently prospect and engage in high-value customers, drive higher revenue, and increase sales performance. Sales Navigator helps you target the right buyers, surface key signals such as job chances, also which accounts you should prioritize. It does all that and so much more. And it also shows you the hidden allies that you have so you can find those buyers that are most likely to convert. How about that? Fueled by LinkedIn's 1 billion member platform, Sales Navigator gives you the most up-to-date first-party data enabling you to unlock conversations with the people that matter. So here's what you can do. Right now, you can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a 60-day free trial at linkedin.com/locked-on. That's linkedin.com/locked-on. That is linkedin.com/locked-on for a 60-day free trial. How about that? Let LinkedIn Sales Navigator help you sell like a superstar today. Just go to linkedin.com/locked-on to get started. So Johan Rojas goes through spring training and hits the 212 in spring training. Excuse me, 194 in spring training and an on-base percentage of 214. Not great. The absolute last thing you want to see from Johan Rojas is costing the Phillies at any point offensively. So what happens in the game tonight? You have Brandon Marsh, who's in center field for you tonight. Johan Rojas gets the night off, at least until Kyle Schwarber comes up and starts the closest thing the Phillies would really get to a rally after the first inning when Alec Bohm was able to get you on the board with a 2-run double to right field. So what went down in that sixth inning, I think it was, you get a couple of hits for yourself. You have Kyle Schwarber on second base. They decide to pinch run for Kyle Schwarber. Enter Johan Rojas, the fleet of foot Johan Rojas. You have a runner on first and second with nobody out after back-to-back singles. Rojas proceeds to get picked off of second base by Diaz, who came in relief. Little spin move at the mound to turn around, pick him off, and throw him right there out of the ball game. Kyle Schwarber is now out of the lineup because Johan Rojas didn't know what he was doing out there in the base paths. Absolutely horrendously terrible. Cannot afford that to happen if you're Johan Rojas and costing the Phillies at any point offensively. Defensively, wasn't even in the game till late. DH is the mark that he had when he came to the plate for Kyle Schwarber in the 10th inning with men on base. Never should you see Johan Rojas' name with the initials DH next to it. Certainly after he cost you the chance at scoring a run there in the ball game earlier and with Kyle Schwarber already out of the lineup. That is abysmal. Absolutely abysmal. And yet that's what you saw in tonight's ball game. Look, you can look at Connor Brogdon all you want for how much he struggled, and it certainly was a lot of struggles for Connor Brogdon. But Johan Rojas is a guy that is obviously going to give you some great defensive play there in center field. But as a young player looking to find his way in the big leagues, he's got to show that he at least has a good head on his shoulders. I don't know what happened concentration-wise with him tonight on the base paths. I don't know what happened with Bryson Stott because he got picked off the same way. But that was at least against Abbott when he was in the ball game. The Reds started tonight. So as that game was playing out, you started to see the mental mistakes. I was thinking after that first inning, we were able to put up a couple of runs. You have Schwarber leading off with a hit to center field. Then Turner works a walk on an 8-pitch at bat. And by the way, I talked earlier about Castellanos hacking away at pitches. Trea Turner looks like he is having a far better approach to the plate than he did this time a year ago when he was just starting his huge 4-month span struggle as a Philadelphia Philly before he broke out of it in the final 2 months of the season. But this year, he looks like he has a much better head on his shoulders, taking much better at bats than what we saw this time a year ago. But he gets on base with an 8-pitch at bat after Schwarber's leadoff single. Harper strikes out. We'll get into his struggles in a minute. And then Bohm comes up a batter or two later, and he's able to get that RBI, 2-run double down the right field line, able to eke that out. So that was fantastic to see that for Alec Bohm. But after that, the Phillies, I don't know what was going on. I don't know if they thought they were going to be able to get to Abbott a lot more in this game. It certainly didn't look like that as time went on. I don't know if they were pressing. I don't know if that's what led to Nick Castellanos going a little berserk there in the 6th inning with the way he was at the plate. Guys definitely looked like they were pressing, especially after that 6th inning when Christopher Sanchez was pulled. He gets pulled coming out of that 6th inning there after he walks India, first walk of the game. Then Steer comes up there with the double off the wall that Castellanos either lost or couldn't get to it. You have second and third with nobody out. Jeff Hoffman comes in the game for Christopher Sanchez. Encarnacion Strand comes up there with the RBI single to center field. Then Candelario goes up there. He gets the RBI single to right field. It's now a 2-2 ball game. After that, the Phillies just had no answers offensively. And one of the big guys that I was really counting on coming up there and actually helping the Phillies get back momentum in this game was Bryce Harper. So to look at somebody else other than Nick Castellanos, other than Johan Rojas, got to talk about the big dog himself, Bryce Harper. And when you look at what he was doing in this game, he was trying to jump on fastballs early in counts and was not having a lot of success. Some of it bad luck, sure. You look at what happened there when he came out there in the bottom of the sixth inning. He led off the inning, absolutely tattooed a fastball right back at Abbott, who snared it out of thin air. He hit the ball right on the screws, would have been a single up the middle most likely, but still an out is what it actually ended up being. Then you go on to have a couple more struggles in that inning. Abbott gets taken out of the game. That's where you have the Castellanos issue with Miller behind the plate. You go into the seventh inning. Phillies really couldn't get much going for themselves there behind the plate or on the base pads. That's when you saw Bryson Stott get caught stealing. Wilson had a great move on him, and that was that. You go out there in the eighth inning. Phillies, again, they get Schwarber to lead off with a single, Turner to get a single, bang, right out of the gate, runners on first and second. That's when all hell broke loose with Rojas. But Harper steps up there and again is sitting on a first pitch fastball. He gets a first pitch fastball. He just misses a first pitch fastball. So there's no question. If you talk about pressing, if you talk about seeing and this one was at 89 miles per hour, by the way, so I guess he just barely missed it. But it comes in at the plate at 89 miles per hour, and he just misses it. Bryce Harper with a chance to do damage for this Phillies team, all tied up at 2. He's got ducks on the pond, and he's unable to cash in the prizes. So you see this happen here, and you think, all right, well, it's just a matter of time. He's going to need one more. He's going to need one more. Bryce Harper's just going to need one more. And what happens? He comes up there in the eighth inning. Phillies have an opportunity after Trea Turner has a single up the middle, infield single off the middle. Off Anton there, the pitcher. It's a 6-3 ball game. Harper steps up with 2 men on. And I'm thinking there's no way he gets another fastball. Sure enough, the pitches that he saw, most of them were fastballs. The final one he saw, right over the middle of the plate, takes a hack at it. As Dan Patrick used to say, the whiff. And that was the ball game. Looking at these Phillies in total, looking at Bryce Harper, still looking for his hit. 0-0-0 on the season to this point. Sure, maybe you show him warnings. Oh, he's getting close. His timing's just a little bit off. Man, it looked way off on that last swing. Not only did he get one fastball to hit, he got a couple, and he missed every one of them. They challenged him, and he wasn't up for the challenge. Had an opportunity, 6-3 ball game, 2 runners on, had an opportunity to tie things up, and was unable to do it. Look, if you're looking for the order of blame tonight, we're going to get to that in our big 3. No question about it to cap off the show coming up in our next segment. But looking at Bryce Harper tonight, I don't think it's the back. I think it's just a matter of getting the swings down. He said that diving into the camera well in game 2 against the Braves of the opening series had nothing to do with why he was out. Rob Thompson said the same thing before the game yesterday. That had nothing to do with Bryce Harper being out. Look, the bottom line is you got to monitor his back issue because that's why you only get a limited amount of plate appearances in spring training. You got to monitor him now just to see if anything comes up after diving into that camera well. He gets back into the lineup tonight, and again, just had the timing off. I know some people, especially in that 8th inning, might be pissed at Bryce Harper for trying to jump on a first pitch. No, I am not one to just never swing at the first. No, it's always bad to swing at the first pitch. I don't always believe that. So if you're a leadoff hitter, a lot of times, yeah, you want the rest of the guys to see that. Phillies lineup might be a big exception to that, considering who their leadoff hitter is in Kyle Schwarber. But he is hitting the baseball so far in 4 games for the Phils, including a home run, which is nice. But Bryce Harper, if he's coming up to the plate and he's thinking he's going to get a first pitch fastball to be able to just tattoo in the gap, out of the park, whatever the case may be, I got no problem with a guy like Bryce Harper taking a big swing in that moment. That case there in the 8th inning, he wants to take a big swing at a first pitch fastball. He's sitting, waiting, first pitch fastball. You take that big swing. He goes up there with that philosophy. 99 times out of 100, that's you're going to have more success than you're going to fail. So that to me wasn't a big problem. I know that did stick with some people out there, but not for me in that one. All right, coming up, big three, and also a question I threw out there on social media that I want to see if you guys will answer as well. You can hit me up in the comments during the show if you'd like. Feel free to do that. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, coming up about some great people helping us out here at Locked On. That is none other than the incredible people at Amazon Fire. Start by setting up Fire TV. Ladies and gentlemen, how incredible are they? Do you have it? If you don't, you got to get on it. Fire TV is your destination for sports. From live games to highlights, in-depth analysis, Fire TV offers amazing viewing experiences with smart TVs as well as the Fire Stick itself that you can plug into your existing TV that provides access to millions of movies and TV episodes as well as free and live TV. All that there with the great people at Fire TV. Whether it's opening weekend for baseball, whether it's college basketball tournaments going on, whatever it is, Fire TV has you covered. Then you could also talk about the amazing things that they do nonstop. When you talk about the Fire TV channels to deliver constant supply of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands. Oh, my goodness gracious. All for free. That includes all of us at Locked On as well. And most of the big pro leagues and college conferences as well. Fire TV channels lets you dive into all the game analysis, highlights, and so much more to keep up to date on the latest in the world of sports. March Madness, NBA, MLB, so much more, not to mention the great news, entertainment, gambling, travel, cooking, videos, all that stuff is fantastic. Check out Fire TV channels on Fire TV and Alexa devices. If you haven't checked out Fire TV channels, you should. Trust me on this. It's fantastic. To learn more, visit Amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. That's Amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. Big three things looking at this game tonight. The number one thing I'm going to look at on a positive note is Christopher Sanchez. Christopher Sanchez absolutely looked dialed in. The one thing I was a little surprised with Christopher Sanchez tonight was the splitter. He didn't use the splitter tonight. One thing that was wild, 46 pitches through the first 3 innings of work, 4 strikeouts that he had. You go into the second inning, he had Malley up there, got him on a low changeup. It was his first strikeout, low changeup, thing of beauty. Benson was the guy that actually battled him tonight big time, especially in that second inning. He took him to a 3-2 count, full count, threw him the sinker, absolutely fooled him on that, had him looking silly. Then India again gets the change down. He can't handle it. You got 5 consecutive strikeouts there for Christopher Sanchez of his 8 total. Encarnacion stout up there, 2-2 slider he got. That was another pitch that was working for Christopher Sanchez tonight. Threw that out of the zone, and he chased it. 4th inning, De La Cruz goes up there, gets back-to-back changeups in a 3-pitch at bat from Christopher Sanchez, and he had Nelly De La Cruz all over the place trying to make contact and even foul away that changeup. It wasn't going down for him tonight. 5th inning, Fairchild, same thing. You have a changeup that he throw to him late in that count. He's able to put him away with that, and that was the pitch that he used more than anything to get himself out of trouble. Little surprised after seeing him in spring training, working on the splitter. You didn't see it tonight, but he didn't really need it when you look at those other pitches that he was able to go up there and be able to unleash against the Reds. In total, 85 pitches, great for a first start from him. I know it's 5 innings, but if you look at Christopher Sanchez's history, his brief history so far with the Phillies, they are quick starts. He's not really going 6 innings a lot of times. He's certainly not going into 7 innings a lot of times. He is going to get the hook after about 5 innings, especially first start of the season. 85 pitches already logged. You're not going to see him out much longer than that, really, throughout the season. You just hope that maybe 85 pitches will get him through 6 innings next time. And maybe it's 6 innings, 85 pitches in the back pocket already. Maybe Rob Thompson allows him to go out there and get another inning under his belt to see if he can help out this bullpen a little bit more. After Christopher Sanchez, and tip my cap to him, the second thing I got to get into, it really does go back to consistency in this Phillies lineup. Zach Wheeler, opening day. Talk about 6 scoreless, looking strong throughout the entire time. Aaron Nola then the next day gets shelled. Bullpen gets shelled. First start of the season for Zach Wheeler, he's great. Bullpen's terrible. Second game of the season, Aaron Nolan's terrible. Bullpen, again, ain't so great. Then Ranger Suarez goes out there in game 3. He does his business like he had been really throughout last season, and he looks like the guy that you saw pitch last season. Was going through stretches of 6 straight games with at least 6 innings, no more than 2 runs. Ranger Suarez a year ago looks like he'd be that same guy after one start that we've seen him so far. This looks like a guy that will be in control as he's going out there on the mound. Then you see Christopher Sanchez tonight. He does his thing. But when you talk about this lineup, and through the first 2 games of the season, you were talking about them getting outscored 21-7. Not great. And then tonight, they get 2 first-inning runs. Again, by the way, because remember, they just did this to Max Fried. Got 2 first-inning runs, then didn't get much the rest of the way. They got 2 first-inning runs tonight against Andrew Abbott. Jumped on the lefty early. Alec Boehm coming up with a big hit. And then the offense just goes silent. And when they had opportunities to cash in and make something happen, they came up immensely small. Whether it was 2 base running blunders by Bryson Stott and Johan Rojas, or it was just not making that contact at the plate, or not being selective enough with your pitches. One thing that I really hope that we avoid in the early goings of this season is Nick Castellanos falling into that kind of quicksand mode where all of a sudden he's trying to force things happening for himself. You got to be patient, Nick Castellanos. How did he get started out in such a great start last year in the early goings of the season? How did that happen? He was patient at the plate. He had a much better approach. He had a plan when he went up there. This season, not seeing that same guy. Offensively speaking, really throughout. I mean, Schwarber's gotten off to a nice start here. 294 batting. It still doesn't work to walk as a leadoff man, but whatever. He's hitting home runs, getting on base with hits. I'm fine with that. Trey Turner, he got his average up to 267 after a couple of games here, so that's nice to see. But seeing Bryce Harper, again, still batting straight zeros and taking an 0 for 5 night tonight, that is very troublesome. You're going to be, look, before the season when we talked about Johan Rojas and what he was going to do for you in the lineup, none of us had huge expectations here. I don't think anybody in their right mind had huge expectations about Johan Rojas, offensively speaking. But we were saying that Johan Rojas is going to be your 8 or 9 hole hitter for the entire season. If he's hurting you offensively, then you got other problems. And right now, the Phillies got other problems. Do I have confidence that Bryce Harper's going to turn it around? Yes, I have confidence that Bryce Harper is going to turn around. I don't think there's going to be anything lingering. When I look at Nick Castellanos, I don't know if he's going to turn around. This is a guy that 29 home runs a year ago, great. 13 home runs the previous in his first year as a Philly. Awful for a $100 million player. Alec Boehm looks like he's come to play from the plate this season. Want to continue to see that. I think about the way he's just been playing defensively. I mean, offensively, we know what kind of hitter he could be. Again, fine job tonight. But the guy that's been at third base, the quantum leap that he has taken as a defensive third baseman has been nothing short of spectacular. And I just hope I keep on seeing it from him as his career goes on. And I got a feeling we're going to see a lot more of that as his as his career does in fact go on. So as we continue to see that play out, I want to continue to see those steps forward for him. But when it comes to some other guys, Whit Merrifield, still waiting for him to come around. My anticipation for him before the season started was, professional hitter. Haven't seen a lot of that, unfortunately. Not yet. And then Brandon Marsh tonight had a couple opportunities and wasn't able to really cash in. So after Sanchez, and tip my cap to him, and talking about the Phillies lineup, the third thing I got to talk about is the bullpen. What's really awful is that, as you know from following even last year, Jeff Hoffman was struggling mightily throughout most of last year. Then all of a sudden gets a confidence boost from Bryce Harper saying this guy, can really bring it if he really can find a way to flip that switch. And he absolutely brought it towards the end of last season. So much so that a lot of people had confidence in him going into this season. Not just Philadelphia homers, but on the national scene with MLB.com rating the Phillies as the best bullpen going into 2024. Right behind them was the Atlanta Braves in the second spot. But I think a lot of Phillies fans, a lot of us looked at it and went, "Ooh, this Phillies team, best bullpen in baseball? I don't know about that." So Jeff Hoffman comes in a tough spot there in the 6th inning. He allows 2 runs to score. Both of them are charged to Jonathan Sanchez, and after that, to Christopher Sanchez, and after that, he was able to shut it down. Matt Strahm did his job. Junior Marte did his job. Jose Alvarado did his job. But Connor Brogdon, and sooner or later, your offense isn't putting up enough runs. There's going to be a crucial part of that bullpen. There's going to be a crucial member of that bullpen at some point in the game. Everybody else was doing their job. I did not expect to see Nick Nelson called up earlier today, all of a sudden to be out there throwing for the Phils in today's game. But sure enough, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 members of the Phillies bullpen were out there throwing tonight. 181 pitches total. That's a lot of throws, man. That's a lot of throws. Somebody's got to be the consistent guy you can always go to in this bullpen. Alvarado's already got a save under his belt, got beat up the opening day a little bit, but who didn't, unfortunately? When I look at the way this Phillies team broke it down today, it's one of those situations that we've talked about so many times with this lineup. This Phillies team, unfortunately, is going to have to out-hit this bullpen. This Phillies team is going to have to give what can be some good starting pitching when you look at Zach Wheeler, you look at Ranger Suarez, and of course you look at Christopher Sanchez tonight. You got to give those guys some run support so they can start racking up some W's for themselves. Tonight certainly was not an example of that. One question I did ask, just for some funsies there on the old Twitter, on social media, on X, was if Connor Brogdon faced Nick Castellanos, who would win that battle? Would Connor Brogdon strike out Nick Castellanos? I think he would. I voted yes on my own Twitter poll, if you will. That's where I'm at right now, ladies and gentlemen. Phillies now. 1-3 on the season. Reds improve to 3-1. Tomorrow, 6:40 start time. Spencer Turnbull gets the start for the Phillies as he takes over for Taijuan Walker, who's working his way back from an injured shoulder. Graham Ashcroft goes right-handed pitcher for the Reds tomorrow. 7-9 last year with a 4.76 ERA. So that's the setup that you'll have for tomorrow. We'll be back with you guys for another Phillies postcast. Thank you guys for joining us. This was, if you couldn't tell, my first postcast, my first Philadelphia sports postcast. So we'll be back talking about this again tomorrow. We also got a Sixers game that we're going to try to kick around as well. But I appreciate you guys joining us here. Make sure you guys hit like, subscribe, and all that stuff right here on the Phillies postcast on the Philadelphia Sports Locked On Network here on YouTube. For the people on the podcast, thank you for listening as well. Thanks, everyone. Catch you tomorrow. Bye.